Ladies and gentlemen, happy week start, and thank you very much for joining us on this week's edition of Viewpoint on DBS Television. It is the last production of the month and the very first one of the week, just leading us into the month of September. Hope that you have been able to stand strong up to now and that you will stand strong till times past. That said, today we'll be talking about societal issues. We'll be talking about issues concerning Cameroon and out of Cameroon, what could actually pushed our young girls to migrate out of the country in search of jobs. Talking about this particular topic, we'll be discussing with Jerome Mwankang. He is a teacher and he is not new with us. He has always been there and probably he will always be there. Good evening to you, Mr. Coleman. Thank you very much for being part of us again.
Vanessa, good evening, viewers. It's always a pleasure to be on your program, and I believe we will always learn something that will transform us.
Probably. Mangavena shows happy week start.
Happy week start to you, Vanessa, and to our viewers. You know, I was touched when you started so, you know, like in the form of a sermon kind of thing, and like Mr. Kumo was saying, that will transform our life. I hope that if we were able to withstand the month of August right up to this 31st, then I think that we can withstand the year.
No, probably. It's always very important that we give a positive energy to our televiewers. You know, it's not always easy.
Very necessary.
So we have to do that. Viewpoint is a program that is divided into two parts. The first part has to do with the question and answer, and the second part has to do with the debate. Coming up now, let us take the first part. Question 1. Is there any reason why female Cameroonians migrate to the Middle East for work? Jerome?
No.
There is no. Mangavena shoes?
Yes.
No and yes. And the last question, with this labor drain and current crisis, can we see talk of emerging in 2035? Jerome?
No.
Mangavena shoes?
Exactly, Vanessa. No, we cannot.
We cannot talk of it. Let us take a debate. Once more, you all are welcome back. You can watch us live on Facebook on DBS TV Official. Is there any reason why female Cameroonians migrate to the Middle East for work? Jerome, do you think that there is no reason why our girls, why youths, especially the girls, do migrate to this country? We could be talking of Lebanon, we could be talking of Kuwait in search of Qatar and the rest.
Bahrain and the rest. My answer is capital no. And Vanessa, you will discover that, permit me quote the Bible here in the book of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And because you have rejected knowledge, the Lord will reject you, and the end result is that you will suffer. Going to Lebanon, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, Thailand is, to me, is like diving into the Red Sea. Why? Because there is nothing good that can come out of that place. It is clear that is a third world country. I mean, even underdeveloped than Cameroon. It's just because of the ignorance of the white skin and the inferiority complex in some people who believe that these Middle East countries are more better off than our own area, Cameroon. It is poverty in the brain that will strike or provoke somebody with certificate or without certificate to gather money, look for passport, pay visa, transport, and once you arrive at the airport, the next thing they do to you is to collect your passport and your visa. Who are you? You have sold yourself into slavery. So to me, I see no reason why our people, our girls, and the people who are promoting this thing to be encouraging it. There is nothing, no good thing. Out of 100 people who are going to the Middle East country, they are coming back crying. We are seeing the testimonies every day. So you can remain here in Cameroon. You master the terrain. With the 1 million you want to use to go to Qatar, you can establish a business. You can establish something that you yourself, you can manage it. Every great person always start small. What always strike my imagination is that we have so many Lebanese here, and some of those people who are coming here for greener pasture. And some of us, we go there. They use us as slaves. They use us as if we had no value, like because objects. We have forgotten who we are. Kings and princesses, they go into foreign land and become slaves. Why? Because we have denied to understand and acknowledge what we have. We are creative in Cameroon. Cameroonians are very intelligent. They are hardworking. And I believe that no matter the circumstances, the crisis, the hardship, and so on, we can make it out of Cameroon. What has blindfolded many Cameroonians why they are moving out is they believe that you must always have a better life with the government, that is with a matrical number, because the government has obliged and compelled people to better themselves off in the public service. There is no great country. If you go to America, the business and the rich tycoons, they are those who are in the private sector. Many of our people go to this Middle East country because the private sector is discouraged. But even with that, go in for commercial agriculture. If you have 1,200,000 francs, you can have a land in a village. You can have a land. And then you start up some type of tomato cultivation, corn, and so on. It will help you to start up and live a good life, void of what? Violation of basic human rights. Many of them, they are raped, and some of them, they die there. And we right
have
at
cases.
This, yes, right at this moment, some families are expecting that their loved ones are going to come back. But to be honest with you, these people are dead and forgotten. Look at the incident in Lebanon a couple of weeks ago. It struck me. I said, why are you going to this place? Why are you going to this? Because these people by nature, they are beasts, Lebanese. I mean, they don't have human feeling. I saw a video 2018, 2019, where a young girl from Nigeria was turned into a sex slave. Any male visitor in that house, in that
we've had video footages of Cameroonian girls also transformed into sex slaves there.
Yes, and despite these videos, despite these experiences, some of them still believe that they can make it out there. I wish to tell the young girl listening to me, because from my investigation, some of them have the first degree, some of them have master degree, some of them have professional and vocational training. Why are you going to such a place to go and sell yourself for modern slavery? You can start up something small, buy and sell them in the market. Selling of fish at the Carrefour doesn't reduce you. You are starting up from somewhere and you are growing steadily. And the truth is, if you are not hard working in Cameroon, let them put you even in the United States of America, you will end up zero. It is not magic. Poverty is something of the brain, not the government.
Not the government.
Somebody like me have said bullshit to any matrical number from the government, because they will only enslave you and they will only give you thought of what? Traveling out to become a modern slave in a country you think that is better off than us. Start up something, business.
Right.
And you are going to be better off.
Better off.
Rather than going to these people who regard other human beings as animals, as very low. They don't have respect for anything. I thought that these people were Muslims. This zero. Because basic Muslim and Christian values, they don't respect it. Islam is a religion of peace, democracy. Christianity will respect human values. But if you go to these places, even some of them here in Cameroon, go to Aqua. I have some of them who are friends with Quora. I tell me that no, you can't do that, because they are still executing it here. I have somebody who changed more than 8 house girls in 1 year. Imagine if those house girls were in Lebanon. Because you want to do it, the girl will say, you want to bring that your thing here. better let me go and join my mother and my father, and we'll be doing what we are doing. So there is no need for these girls to go out. We know that the economy is tough, but let us look from a micro to a macro view. There is no perfect country in the world. Even in the United States, there are unemployed citizens. The issue is discover that you are a child of God, do what is right, and you will never suffer the effect of being left behind, and be contented to an extent.
Thank you very much, Jerome, for that insight. I will use this opportunity to extend my warmest regards to Henrietta Chashan. She is one of those that have been at the forefront talking to the young girls, like mediating between cases from Lebanon, Kuwait, to bring back these young girls to Cameroon. Our greetings go to you, Mommy Tacha, as many do call her, and of course we are wishing her a speedy recovery wherever she may be. Mangevena shoes, you rather think that there is a reason why these young girls migrate to the Middle East? What could be some of those reasons?
Yes, Vanessa, when I listened to Mr. Kum speaking, I was so calm and, listening to the way he outlined. Yeah, it's true. Those are the realities of those who move out there. But then the problematic here is, what is the push factor at home? What is the push factor at home that sends them to go outside? I like it when he was speaking, he spoke about the issue of the matriarchal syndrome that we have. All of us young people are suffering from it. But another point is the point of economy. The way our economy has been structured is such a way that we, the young people, surviving in Cameroon, especially in the private sector, is becoming is becoming a task that many are not able to overcome. Like you rightly said, those who are going out of, or especially to the Middle East countries, Asian countries, most of them are degree holders, graduates. But then when you ask yourself, with this intellectual capacity that I have, I come back to the quarter, there is nothing I'm doing. When we were growing, we had these two slogans. One died naturally because time proved it wrong, and the other one is still continuing. I don't know whether we still hold it. The first one was health for all by the year 2000. By 2000, we are discovering that it is the opposite. Now, the second slogan that was, we were growing with was, youths are future leaders of tomorrow. I don't know when that future is coming. I don't know when that tomorrow is coming. We find that youths, the young people, they graduate. It's not only the girls that go out into these Middle East and Asian countries. No, even the boys do. But the girls, the particularity with girls is what they go through. The female folk may not be able to support the kind of work or what they go through. For the men,
let's call it the maltreatment they go through.
That is what I mean. That's what actually the maltreatment they go through. But then for the male, they can survive it. The treatment they go through, they can accommodate it, and some actually succeed, like he was saying. But the point is, why do they leave home? If you keep telling me that I'm a future leader of tomorrow, and I'm seeing myself crossing 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and you are still preaching to me the future leader, meanwhile you are sitting tight on that chair, where will I lead? When we look at the economy of Cameroon, I graduate from the university. Okay, Mr. Kum is saying go out to the market and try to sell. Immediately you put a bench and you start selling. Council officials are in front of you to ask for tax. Taxation officials are in front of you to ask for tax. How much have you sold? For how long have you been in business to be able to pay the tax? It does not encourage you to even sit down and study. So when you look at the literature that you have, it's true. If you have to sit and calculate on the challenges out there, you will never go anywhere. But then you will listen to them. We are talking about those who go the normal way. What about those who decide to move by land and move by sea, overcoming all the risk in order just to reach that other way? What is happening? Because they have lost hope back home. Why have they lost hope back home? Because the management of affairs back home is to the detriment of the young man, to the detriment of the youth. That's why they feel that if I can succeed, maybe if I reach out there, that is the clause. If I reach out there, is better than dying home here. Because when you remain here, in the private sector, we know the kind of, Vanessa, we have people who are in the private sector, and they are still being maltreated. Mr. Kum was citing instances of these foreigners who come here and still maltreat Cameroonians. We are in a country where foreigners have a right more than us, the citizens. A foreigner can lock you up. Whereas in some other countries, I take for example, just in next door Gabon.
Nigeria still.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Okay, the motto of Gabon is Gabon first. Gabon first. By extension, Gabonese first. Which means if you go to Gabon and you have a problem with a citizen of that country, they don't look at you first. They look at their citizen first. Whereas in Cameroon, a foreigner will lock you and nobody will say because he uses money. It is Cameroon is not one just that other country where foreigners are well protected. We've had Cameroonian citizens in Equatorial Guinea. They are being maltreated. They are being driven, sent away. Even those with valid resident permit, they are being maltreated. Nobody raises a finger. Just touch one Equatorial Guinean in Cameroon, one, and you see where you find yourself. So I think that all these ones, when you put them together, it pushes the young man to think that, or the young lady to think that if I go out of this, that's the word I keep using, if I go out of this country, I may succeed. Because chances of succeeding are more than back home. Because back home, you find yourself indulging into very ungodly activities. Smoking, stealing, prostitution. Whereas out there, it is still prostitution, like you were saying, but a bit, clothed. It is not naked prostitution. It is a bit clothed, rather than what we have here. So they think that, okay, let me go out there. Vanessa, look at the working conditions that we have back home. You have a graduate who comes out after studying, from finishing the secondary education. You go to the university, study and come out with a degree, and a lay private proprietor, because he happens to run a school. And when you look at them, most of these old people who are in government were financed by the Cameroon government for them to settle. He will take you and pays you 50,000 francs. What's 50,000 francs? What is 50,000 francs? You are paying a university graduate 50,000 francs, and you expect him to stay here? Whereas he will take the knowledge out there and will profit him more than that. So I think that the way the economy is, the economy is tailored in such a way that we tend to send them out. Another problem is, the question talk about the female Cameroonians migrating. Let us look at the education of the girl child. We still remain with that culture that the girl child is supposed to be a second-class citizen. Most of them who venture into something in higher education, what do they venture into? They study geography, they study literature, they study sociology in the university. And when they graduate, what do they do with sociology? When they graduate, what do they do with history? What do they do with geography? In our context. In other countries, a sociology somebody who graduates from university with sociology is a psychologist. He opens an area, an office where he receives people who comes in for counseling. But in Cameroon, who goes for counseling? Open an office and you want to counsel people, they will come and counsel you. Yes. So they better prefer to go out there and put all this, because the structure of what we have here does not permit us to sail with what we have. So they prefer to take the risk and go out. Those are the reasons that push the youth to leave Cameroon. For according to them, they are going for greener pastures. Yes. We cannot deny the fact that there are challenges, like Mr. Kum was saying. They exist, yes. But then we want to try. I can succeed as well as I can fail. So that is life, when they prefer to take the two sides and they go out. All right, Kum?
Yes, Mr. Venatius, I will bet with you that if you've been maltreated, if you've been beaten by your dad, right, it will not pain you as if a stranger beats and torture you.
That's true.
Your dad can correct you, your dad can school you.
That's true.
Knows what is good for you. But when you're being touched by a stranger, it pains you much. What am I saying? It's better to go through this.
When my father neglects me, it pains me more than a stranger will neglect me. So if my government neglects me, it pains me more than a foreign country will neglect me.
Yes, the truth is that as the time is evolving, knowing the kind of country we are inside, we should develop strategies in order to survive, rather than succumbing to the path of failure. In other words, we should develop positive strength. Agriculture, I quoted an example of agriculture. If you go into the domain of agriculture, we are a third world, we are a developing country. We produce more of agricultural products. If you put in your best in it, you are going to do something better for yourself. You have a point by saying, well, in Cameroon, we produce mostly the certificate holders who are unable to create. But that notion is started since. We should be able to educate the young girl that you can make it here. If you learn a trade, hairdressing, tailoring, buy and sell, tomatoes and the rest, you can make it here more than outside. Why? Because outside there, you are contributing to the GDP and the GNP of other countries. Whereas whatever thing you are doing here, you will be helping a lot of people around. Many of them have come back sick, and many of them, if you interview some of them now, I have their name more than 10, they will tell you that they will never go there. Why? Because of what? The inhuman treatment that is being given to them over there. So it is better, Mr. Venatius, you remain here. You contribute your ideas, no matter what. This is your airport, this is your homeland. We are talking of emerging very soon. We need your idea, we need the ideas of the others, because the emergence will not just come by one person's ideology. No, all of us have to chip in our ideas and contribute to this emerging Cameroon.
All right, thank you very much again for that contribution. And talking about emerging in 2035, we are asking whether the labor drain and the current crisis that Cameroon is going through, could we still talk of an emerging Cameroon?
Vanessa, I will tell you, it's far-fetched. Yes, talking about an emerging Cameroon by 2035, a lot of things have to be put in place. One, those people, what do I mean? Let me talk of people. Talking of emerging in 2035, there are a lot of things to be put in place. There must be relative stability, peace. Development cannot take place in a chaotic environment, in a war situation like what we find ourselves. Because if you are observing what is happening in Cameroon, not only the northwest and the southwest are insecure. Natural circumstances have proven, the rain of last week, that nowhere is secured. The Boko Haram threatening in the north, the bombs in Yaoundé,
the grenades that we have almost everywhere,
and so on and so forth. So a lot of things have to be put in place, but for development to come into a place, the most important thing is the human resource. Human resource, which are the human beings. And we talk of roads, they are being designed, the architects are human beings. You must be able to develop the human faculties of your people if you are aiming for eminent development in the nearest future, because we need them to organize the human resource. Here we can talk of the entrepreneur to organize the other aspect, factors of production, in order to enable growth and development in a country to take place. That is what African countries have been lacking in terms of what? President. We lack presidents who are managers. They are unable to manage the resources. That is why Cameroon, that was in the same level with China some few years ago, I cannot talk of many years, but now the gap is very wide because we cannot manage our own God-given resources, despite the fact that we are intelligent. So these people going out, they are like subtracting from the requirement that we needed to put in for development, because
both skilled and unskilled.
Yes, both skilled and unskilled, because it takes the two, skilled level and unskilled level, in order to actualize developmental plans, projects, and so on. So we need them back here, and in order to have them, we must address our educational system. We must address our social environmental structure, the way things are handled. Mr. Venatius talk of the lay private proprietors. You will see a school where they pay 200,000 and a guy who did not even go to the school in the name of a proprietor call you and propose you 50,000. You with maybe an advanced level, a degree or a master, paying you 50,000. Why? Just in the name of what? Neglect. The government say negotiate with your employer. This is like throwing the citizen away. So we need some of these things to be put in place, so much so that these youths who are seeing other countries to be paradise to begin to realize that their paradise is here. They can make it out of Cameroon by every means. So we need them, skilled labor, unskilled labor, because most of them, they go to this country to work as what? Unskilled labor. Whereas if we train them here, they can even be more perfect than ever. So we need them. Otherwise, let's talk of emergence by 2050.
All right. Thank you. Mangavena shows you equally think that with this labor drain and current crisis, we should not be talking of an emerging 2035 in Cameroon.
Mr. Kuma is even very kind to talk about emergence in 2050. I was even closing the idea of emergence because the way at which things are, we are on a standstill. So we have not yet started moving. If we started moving, then we could be talking about of having a target, just looking for the horizon.
Because I believe that some of us youth, when we heard of an emerging 2035, we dreamt of that Cameroon where you'll be able to see roads in almost all the nooks and crannies of the country, where you'll be able to have adequate medical care. Like, you don't need to travel abroad to have medical care.
Whereas
we're thinking of an environment, an enabling environment where you will have all the facilities that you could.
Whereas we still have our leaders who, once they are sick of malaria, they must go to France, they must go to Switzerland, they must go to US for treatment, because the normal general hospital here cannot treat, because we lack, not that we lack the technicians, we lack the infrastructure that we need, we lack the test that we need. It is not because it is America, it is France, it is Switzerland, that no, those things can be found here. The problem is the will. If we wanted to emerge, Mr. Kum gave an example of Cameroon and China at the time, because immediately after the independence in 1960, China was a third world country, even lesser than what Cameroon is, but because they accepted the fact that we are where we are and we want to go to where we want to go to, and they were working for it. Now, what China is doing, give 50 years, give 100 years, and that weather will be there. So when we were talking about emerging in 2035, we have not even started. We are talking of brain drain. We are talking of the crisis that we have. Just take the crisis. They are draining resources that would have been used in maintaining the road. The crisis that we have, they are instead aggravating the road network system that we have. How would you expect people cannot leave Bafoussam to Bamenda on the same day? If you had to undergo a business trip from Bamenda to Bafoussam, you cannot catch up on time, because the road Bamenda, it is not possible. Because we are talking of emerging. How are we going to emerge? We are talking of brain drain here. Just with the COVID-19 pandemic, we discovered that Cameroon is one of those African countries with very high, level of doctors out of the country. The number of Cameroonian doctors who are out of Cameroon are more than the doctors who are serving in Cameroon. They are out. They have decided to go out. Why? Because they see it greener outside there more than what we have here. It is the status quo that we have back home that has discouraged these doctors to think that if I go out, I would have. Vanessa, it is not all about money. There is what we call job satisfaction. Job satisfaction, when you work and the surrounding conditions are favorable, you can cope. But when we have doctors who work here and they pay you 200,000 francs, a doctor who's the same qualification in next door, they will pay that doctor 600, 1 million. Why are we going to pay the same doctor here 200,000 and he will remain here? We have how many doctors who leave? They don't go out of Africa. They are in some other countries that are neighboring countries to Cameroon, because they are working. Their conditions are favorable more than what we have. If we are talking of emerging, we have to accept that emerging means we overhauled our mentality. We should not do what we used to call in computer language copy and paste. We should not just copy slogans of those who really want to emerge and come and paste in our own economic context and think that we are going to emerge. No, we are not going to emerge. It doesn't work that way. We need to accept that we want to go out from where we are. We want to attain a certain level, economic level, developmental level, and then we work for it, because we are preaching more than we are working for it.
All right, so there is a kind of, we need to transform our ideas, our brains.
We transform our mindset and believe that we want to emerge. Let us not sing song. When this 2035 slogan came up, we are thinking that it was so long. We are already in 2020. So we just have 15 years, and 15 years is very soon. We are already in 2035 with the same country that we had when the slogan took off, with the same level at where we were. So I think that to talk about 2050, we will be too kind to history. Let us be realistic.
Thank you very much for your contributions, gentlemen. It has been a pleasure having you, and of course I've had a good time too. Hope that you back at home, you had a good time with us. But all this is to educate the youth, because as like Financial Riley said, we are the leaders of tomorrow. So let us take the staff at hand and work for the interest of Cameroon and not as an individual. That said, thank you very much for your kind and keen attention. Stay tuned to DBS Television. See you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.